I had this deep sense that everything would be okay as long as he had my love. Like, no matter what. I had enough love.
Welcome to this week's episode of Underage Grandparents. I'm Maddie Acton. This is my wife, Esther Acton. We became grandparents before turning 40, and this podcast is the story of our lives, and hopefully by listening, you feel normal. It's a special episode this week. We've received a message on our Instagram. Now, we're on socials everywhere, Underage Grandparents. Search that TikTok, Insta, or Underage Grandparents Podcast is our closed Facebook group. I'm going to read this one to you. It says, "Hey there, loving the podcast. I would love to hear more about Esther's journey becoming a mum so young, how she navigated that solo and financially. Did she work? Did she have other living arrangements? As a young woman, that really interests me, and I'd really like to take my hat off to young mums who struggle and face this kind of thing. I personally come from a really traditional old school family, and my parents didn't have me until they were 31. They would like me to wait and do the same. So I would really love to hear an episode on this. And Mads, you have asked, and that is what you shall receive." Now, obviously,
Yes.
you and I met when Ethan was 3. So
Yes.
this is your story, not mine.
Yeah, I guess at the point where you met me, I was sort of I had gotten myself together a fair bit. So I was 22 when you met me, had him when I was 18. So I'd been in a stable job, and I'd actually gotten, at the point where we met each other, I'd gotten a job moving from pharmacy into sales repping. So I was sort of had my shit together at that point, and I was moving from the town that I was from to the big city, Brisbane. So, I think when we intersected that part of my life, it was I was at a different point in my life than I have been up until that point.
We've never actually sat down and had a full-on conversation about this either. So
No, I know. And when you said that we should talk about it, yes, I think the reason why I guess I don't want to make it about how it's all a struggle for me is because it's not just my story. Obviously, Ethan's involved in this story, and there's a lot of other people who were involved in my life around that time, friends, family. Obviously, my parents were huge supporters of me. So I don't want it to come across that I was completely on my own. But I think, so my parents are also traditional, as this girl has said in her letter. It makes me sound like such a boomer.
did come to an inbox, but it was a DM, babe.
It is for grandparents, right, this podcast. So, yeah, they were married when they obviously had me. They were quite young, but traditional values and everything like that.
And Christian, your dad was...
My dad was a minister.
A minister.
Yeah. So, there was definitely all that that side to things. So when I did find out I was pregnant, I had just turned 18. I had gone to the doctor and been told I had indigestion. So that was the first misdiagnosis. I think that was probably, I don't know, about 7 weeks or something like that.
Did you? So you thought you were pregnant at that time?
No, I didn't. I didn't think I was pregnant at that time. I just thought I had indigestion. And then probably when I started to feel more a bit concerned that potentially I could be pregnant, I went with a friend to a clinic at the time, like a women's health clinic that was at the hospital, and did a pregnancy test that was negative. But at that time, I would have been about 14 weeks. My friend was with me at the time. And honestly, if I had been on my own and then found out I was pregnant then at 20 plus weeks after my 18th birthday with another pee test in a public toilet, then I would have questioned it myself whether or not that had actually happened. But my friend was with me, so definitely happened. But yeah, so I was 20 plus weeks pregnant when I found out that I was pregnant. So I was going to be a mother less than 20 weeks from that time. So I had to digest that information very quickly.
Can I ask you how you felt finding that out? That day you must have been terrified. You're still like you were a kid.
Yes. And I was with 3 of my girlfriends. So 3 friends were with me at the time. And yeah, they were 18. So, you know, they were probably as scared as me, and sort of running through options. But I remember just being sort of a bit too shell-shocked and thinking, I'm going to have to make some decisions myself. Like, this is going to have to be me. And, yeah, a lot of people say things to you. A lot of people say things to you when you're young and going to have a baby that are probably incredibly insensitive and they don't realize. Like, I had one friend's mother say, no one will ever love you with another man's child. So even if they say that they love you, it'll just be because they want to have sex with you. But once you've had a baby, no one's going to want you.
Well, I just want you to know that I absolutely do want to have sex with you, but I also do absolutely love you.
And Ethan.
Yes,
I
love him with all my heart.
The whole thing.
Of course, yeah.
People actually, I've said this to you before. People fell more in love with Ethan than they bloody did me. It was actually a problem. No,
that's not true.
It wasn't a problem.
I fell in love with you equally.
It wasn't a problem.
20 years later, we're still here.
But no,
that's really mean.
I had another friend say, when I told, my auntie, she cried and cried because she said, I really thought Esther was going to be somebody. And, you know, stuff like that. You're just like, oh my God, does this mean that like my life is over? It's ruined, you know, like no one congratulates you as an 18-year-old pregnant. Like it's such a, because my pregnancies were 12 years apart with Ethan and then Xander, it was such a different thing to be pregnant as a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
And
people treated you differently.
Totally differently. It was just a completely different experience. And I think I didn't realize back then, but I put up a lot of walls because I expected people to say mean things, or I expected people to put me down or say cruel things, even if they're unintentionally cruel. So, yeah, I put up heaps and heaps of walls. And so, yeah, then as a woman, you have to sort of take all those walls back down again because you've got people you got to love, you know. And so if you're going to be any type of good mother and good wife, you can't be walking around like that. So
it's funny because it's really mean, those things. And you're already very vulnerable. You're scared. You're bringing a child into the world, which is scary. Even like we were freaking out 12 years later after Ethan was born when we were having more kids.
Yeah, I think like it's not just the motherhood part. Like, and obviously, I immediately knew that there was this child that I was going to love. I just immediately knew that. I was privileged enough that the second I knew I was pregnant, I was like, I love this person growing inside me. Oh God, now I'm going to cry. But it's still complicated.
Yeah.
You know, like it was still a lot for me to process at that time. But because I had that, because I knew that I had this deep sense that everything would be okay as long as he had my love, like no matter what. I had enough love for him to grow into a happy person. And I knew that my parents, you know, would absolutely envelop him in love and he would have extended family who loved him. So I didn't think he was going to be missing out on anything, but by not having a present father figure, obviously, when he was born. But people still feel the right to tell you that you've cheated your child. And I had people outright say to me, do you feel bad that you didn't give him a father? And, you know, I don't think that it was my intention or my choice for that. But that's just, people have very strange opinions.
But there are also so many fathers who are around who are also awful at it.
100%.
So,
and I just fully believe that, you know, you need one parent on your side, or one person. It doesn't even have to be a parent. Like, you just need someone who loves you, and everything will be okay.
I think you should give yourself a lot of kudos though, because I don't think you've ever held it against anyone for saying those things to you.
Well, none of those people are in my life anymore, but yes.
But you haven't held on to that. Like,
No.
some of those comments, this is the first time even I'm hearing you say.
Well,
say
yeah,
them.
and I think I'm just saying it because it's in the context of having children young. It's not, there's so many things you don't need to worry about because it everything will work out. But then you have to be strong in ways that people who are married or in long-term relationships and who are in their 30s and who have been seen to have a successful life already will not have to cop. They will not have to cop that judgment. And that's what you probably have to be prepared for, but there's no way to be prepared for that. But I think people's comments made me more stubborn than what I already was.
You stubborn? No, that is.
Because
really?
I was just like, no, I'm pretty sure I can have it all. I'm pretty sure I can be a really good mum. I'm pretty sure I can have a career if I want it. I'm pretty sure I can provide. I'm pretty sure, you know, any obstacle you put in my way, I'm just going to smash through it because that's just what I'm going to do. So I did go back to work very quickly after having Ethan. So he was 10 weeks old when I went back to work. I didn't have full-time childcare at the time because I didn't even realize that it was something that you had to book in. He was in a casual daycare. So I was working, one stage I was working full-time hours but spread over, so it was in a pharmacy I could do like a 12-hour day on a Thursday because it was late night shopping. So like there was ways, and obviously my boss at the time, and they supported me in getting back into work, and then obviously, you know, easing back into it. So that was good.
How do you think it obviously changed your life?
Yeah.
If you hadn't have had Ethan, where do you think you would have ended up?
Wow. I think I've said this to you before, and I don't know if I still agree with it. I was pretty wild. I was a bit of a wild child. Like, I was having a lot of fun in my life, and I had a lot of fun even when Ethan came along. Like, it's not like I've settled down and I just sit at home knitting now.
I don't know. I don't know how you have the energy for everything you have in your life now. I'm like, can we please stay home tonight? You're like, no, don't be lame. I'm like, oh Lord.
But
and in that, what I mean is, I don't think your life would have been any different.
I think before he came along, I was a lot more selfish. I was a lot more self-centered, which most 18-year-olds are. I liked the person that he brought out in me. He brought out the best person in me.
That's what I would agree with you there. Yeah.
And I don't know how long she would have taken to come to the surface if he hadn't brought her out. So I'm so thankful for that. And I would never in a million years change it or any of my experience, even the bad stuff, even the, like, you know, money-wise, it was a struggle. I did get a credit card. I did run that straight up, you know, and that's just life. And I had family support. I had, you know, all of that, but it's still, you're still trying to make a go of it. And I ended up moving out of my parents' house, flatting with friends, doing all of that. And there were times where, you know, I would sacrifice skip meals or not eat dinner so that I could, you know, feed him and stuff like that. And that's just stuff that I did without any,
You didn't feel like you were giving up something, you were just doing your job.
I didn't resent him in any way for that. It was just literally, well, this is how much money we have and this is how far it goes, and he really, really, really wants to have a Cracker Jack chicken meal, and so I'm going to get that for him, even though whatever. So,
that's a Toowoomba chicken place. Yeah. People are like, what the hell is that?
There was one like up the corner from us, and he'd always be like, can I please have nuggets from there? So like, yeah, it happens, but
yeah,
it wasn't easy, but yeah, I'm so glad I got to be a young mum. And I watch Ethan and his wife, and they're so young too. I mean, they're 23, so that's, they're a bit older. But they're just, I don't know, you're so relaxed about things when you're young.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not caught up in whether or not I have the right pram or the right this or, and so I don't know. I think I love seeing young mums getting around. I think, I do take my hat off to them. It's not easy.
Well, it's incredibly hard job at any age.
It's really hard. It's really hard at any age. I mean, yeah.
I realized when I met you, I could tell how much of a big heart you had, because I could tell how deeply in love with Ethan you were, and he was just the coolest little kid.
He really was.
Yeah. Oh, well, he still is. He's still the coolest kid. But he was just so beautiful and outgoing and loving, and that's his whole personality even to this day. First thing he walks into our house when he comes and gives us a big bear hug, then walks straight to the fridge and grabs a can of Coke.
He gives the best hugs.
I never felt like, even when we first started dating, I never ever felt, I knew I was always second to him, and that's exactly the woman that I wanted to meet. But I never felt like I was less. Like our relationship always felt like you were giving me 110% every single time. And it really blew me away, the capacity that you had in yourself. And you still have that now.
That's interesting that you describe it that way, because I felt like my actual heart got, like, everything got bigger.
Yeah.
More capacity by becoming a mum. And that's why I wouldn't take it back. Like, why would you not want that? Even if that growth is terribly hard and painful. And I'm not going to say I didn't cry a lot, at night when the lights went out, and I was thinking about just, the pressure that was then now on my shoulders. But, I felt supported. I did feel like I had people to talk to, but it is very much, as a single mum, it's a pretty lonely journey in those moments.
I may not want to hear the full answer to this, but it worked out well. You obviously would be skeptical of people coming into your life. It would have been hard when we met, going, here's an 18-year-old. I'm sure your first thought was, I'm not letting him stick around. He's a bit too young for my situation.
Well, it was interesting. I think I had a different kind of view on relationships to a lot of people my age. And it was probably because I did have someone else to consider and look after. But I thought that I looked for people for me to spend my time with, like, especially if it was romantically, that like, I felt like Ethan had enough from me. So whoever this person was, they just had to complement. They didn't have to complete. They had to complement what we already had.
Because people would assume you were always looking for a father for your son, right?
100%. Yeah. 100%. Like, that was just, that would have been the assumption of 90% of males out there. And they were obviously not people that I would be interested in dating. So, yeah, I think your age definitely discounted you from me thinking that it would work for you long term. But because I enjoyed your company so much and you just made me laugh nonstop, I thought, and now all these studies have come out, and I would love to, like, get into this one day, talking about how they say that a mother's happiness really determines how a child sees their childhood, and you would think it's how happy the child is. But all these studies have come out and said it's actually how happy the mother is that determines if the child feels like they had a good childhood.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you made me so happy, and I just thought that, I don't know, in my selfishness probably that was still there, this was the best thing for, kids grow up and leave, as we now know.
Yeah, we found that out, didn't we?
That, I wanted to build something with people that I was connected to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you slept through the keeper there, even though you were only a baby.
I know it would have been, we've talked about the times it was hard, and, you've said also about how glad you are. If there was a young mum listening right now, or the old cliche, if 18-year-old you is there in front of you right now, a couple of months away from giving birth, what would you say to her?
Everything's going to be okay. Which I think I knew anyway, but I would probably say doing your best is good enough, and it will always be good enough for your child. If they can see you showing up for them, even if that means that they're in daycare and you're working for them, they see it, they know, and everything will be okay.
It's a funny one, isn't it? We talk about mum guilt, and dads do feel guilty, but probably not in the same way that mums do. And the childcare thing can be a funny one where you feel bad about your kid being...
It's a societal thing that, like, men, you're meant to go to work outside of the home.
Yeah.
Whereas we're meant to be at home.
Yeah.
So when we're not... Well, I'm not saying this is what I believe, by the way, because obviously I've worked through all of my children's young lives. But, it is a real thing. You feel like, okay, am I not only failing as a mother because I'm not with my child, but then I'm distracted at work and I'm tired, and so I'm not giving my best here. I'm not giving my best here. I'm obviously not giving my best in my other relationships. Like you just feel like all the time I'm failing at everything all the time. And I've realized now that even like having a secure career and money in the bank doesn't change that. Like it's, you know what I mean?
Find other
all the
things
things that I had this long list of things that I wanted to tick off that I could feel successful. I just wanted to have a house, and I wanted to have, somebody that loved me. And I wanted to, I don't know, just not have to think about being generous to other people. Like, if a friend's going through something and you want to do something for them, it's hard when there's no money to be able to have that mindset. So I think all those things that I thought you tick that off and then you're successful and then you're happy, well, actually, you're still going to have to be going through all the other stuff as well.
We obviously have 3 children now, well, 4 children because Ethan's married. So
yeah, we've adopted her as
we
our
have
daughter.
we say
we've got 2 daughters and 2 sons now.
But we say, to me, she's not our daughter-in-law. She is our daughter. She has given us a granddaughter. So we have this large family. The last 2 nights, everyone's been over for dinner, which I love.
It's pretty good, hey? It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I feel like this is what I would say to 18-year-old you. If she was here now, I would say, look at what you created.
It wasn't just on me, darling.
Because as hard as that would have been for you at that time, I feel like it's given me the best things in my life. And I know it would have been really hard and horrible for you to go through, but it's truly been the biggest blessing of my life.
Well, let me say this to you. At 18, when you met me,
I would have said, you player, look at you go. She's 22.
Pretty sure you did say that to
That's
yourself.
what I seem to say to myself all the time. I go, you the man, you the man.
But would you have thought that this is how things would turn out?
No, absolutely not. No, I don't think I thought past, when I was 18, I didn't really think past that day.
Yeah.
Do you? You're just thinking about the furthest you think is to Friday.
Yeah.
When you're going to go out with your mates, really.
100%.
And then as you get older, you start thinking a little bit further ahead. Like now I was thinking last night, because we're talking about high schools for Eden, our 8-year-old daughter. I started thinking about schools for Illyria, and she's 7 months. Like I was like, oh, where's she going to be in 4 years or something? Now that's got nothing to do with me, obviously, because her parents will work all that out.
Yes, correct.
But isn't it?
I think they already have, to be honest.
Oh yeah, of course they have. They're so organised. But even I think for Ethan, like you see the type of dad that he is, and that's completely modelled off what he learnt from you. No, and you, his mum. He's just incredible.
He's fantastic, isn't he?
He's such a sweet boy. Maddie's an amazing mum. They're just great parents. And
We're very lucky.
I look around the dinner table and I go, this is so cool. Like, this is great.
I think this is the reward for all those hard years. Don't you think?
Of course. You had obviously a lot more to deal with than I did. But I think with the things that we went through together as a couple too, it's pretty cool that we ended up here.
Yeah.
And you're a really great mum.
Stop trying to make me cry.
I'm not trying to make you cry.
You are.
I'm not. I'm being honest with you. I'm just
you that you're a better dad than I am, Mum.
Oh, I'm a much better dad than you. That's not true. You can't. This is not a competition on parenting. It was one of the things that made me fall in love with you when I saw what a great mum you were. Obviously, when I was so young, I wasn't thinking about having children, but I could just tell what a kind human being you were. And how much Ethan loved you, and you could just see a kid that didn't feel like he had it any different to anyone else, and that's something you should be really proud of.
Thanks, honey. I don't take compliments. It's still one of my walls.
You do. You're terrible at taking compliments.
You haven't broken that one down yet.
No. You can give insults though. You're good at those. You're good at those.
Thank you. That's a compliment.
All right. Well, that's your story.
That is my story. I don't know that I've...
Part of your story. It's not your whole story.
Yeah. So, I think what I said in the beginning is true. You have to just live your life, make the decisions that can make you happy, because no one's opinion matters more than yours about your life in the end and how it turns out. And, I listened to myself instead of listening to any negativity
And this is why we compliment each other so nicely, because you put things so eloquently.
No, I don't.
That same saying, I would say, opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got one and no one wants to see anyone else's.
I love that one.
See, that's how I would say it anyway.
And yours makes more sense.
Thanks for joining us for another episode, guys. We will be back again next Thursday. A few more laughs in this one, I think, next week. Yeah,
I think that's probably good. No more tears.
Back to taking the piss.
Yeah, where we're most comfortable.